Hi guys, so today is Wednesday. I did film a little update yesterday, but I don't think I'm going to insert it here just because I have so much to talk about and the video itself was already like 10 minutes long, so it would just make this video even longer, meaning that it would take forever to upload and for you guys to watch and to be updated. So I'm just gonna leave that out and I'm just gonna try to talk through this fast. Otherwise it might literally be like a 40-minute video. So I'll get to the point. This week, as in like the bump date, when I finished off the video last time, I remember saying that I've been nauseous, but I did not have to throw up as of yet, and I hope it stays that way. So the irony was that half an hour after I finished like editing the video and everything, that I got up and I literally puked. I don't know what it was. I got up and I walked past the bathroom into the kitchen, and as I walk into the kitchen I'm gagging and I have to run back to the bathroom in order to make it to throw up. So then last weekend, just now on Sunday morning I believe, I had another almost incident because Matt was frying up eggs in the pan, and I guess I'm not good with like a lot of grease, especially if it's not something that I'm eating that I'm craving right now. So yeah, I was gagging pretty bad then too, and luckily it was just a little bit of spit, not full on throw up. So it's been okay, but it's been different, that's for sure. So that's pretty much it for symptoms, I think. I don't remember anything else about this week just because yesterday was such a blur. So I'll get into yesterday because that's what most of you guys probably want to know about, as yesterday was our ultrasound. So Matt left work around 11 and got home by like 11:30, I think. Got a shower, got ready. I emptied my bladder around noon because our appointment was at 1:30, but check-in was at 1:15. And they ask you to drink like 1.5 liters, which is insane. Like, my bladder is already small. Like literally I could drink 1/2 liter and my bladder would be full, and that's without me being pregnant. So I drank and I ate normal until noon. At noon I kind of emptied my bladder and then started drinking the water that I had like put aside to make sure that I'm drinking enough. So I got to like half of it and it was like 12:20, and by like 20 minutes later my bladder was so full I couldn't hold it anymore. So before we left at 12:30, I think, I even emptied my bladder again because I was like, there's no way I can hold this for an hour plus the duration of the ultrasound. So I was like, obviously like my bladder fills up pretty quick. There is no need for me to like drink 1.5 liters and hold it for almost 2 hours. So yeah, I emptied my bladder again at like 12:30, and that's kind of when we left the house. We got there around 1, so a little bit earlier, but we figured maybe we can get in sooner. And by that time, like, I drank some more in the car, probably like, honestly, like 300, 400 milliliters or something like that. And by the time I got out of the car, like the half-hour drive, I had to pee just as bad as when I went at 12:30. I think it was also because I was nervous and stuff, so everything kind of went through me a little bit faster maybe. But my bladder was full, like it was uncomfortable to sit. I had to be careful not to sneeze or cough because I think I would have peed myself. So it ended up being a different clinic than what I thought it was. I was confused from last year when I went to get my PCOS ultrasound. I'm glad I double checked that because I think I would have went to the wrong place. So it was literally right across from that place, and it was one of the bigger chains that they have like everywhere. Kind of like the blood place that I go to, but just for like x-rays and ultrasounds and all that stuff. So we got there, and there, like, you walk in and there's a huge front desk, and there's like 2 girls sitting like left and right in the chairs, and at least 4 or 5 girls standing in the background, all in like nurse clothing and stuff, like obviously techs or whatever they were. So we walk in and we're like all excited and happy and like nervous at the same time and stuff, like first ultrasound, first experience ever, like pregnancy related anyway. And a new place after all. So we walk in and all the girls, like there must have been like 6 girls standing there at least, and with the 2 sitting. And I guess the one that ended up handling my paperwork was getting married soon. So They were all sitting there ignoring us, talking about what to buy, like which jewelry will go with the dress and all that stuff. Like everybody ignored us. Not one person said hi, like how can we help you and stuff. So at some point, like we walk up to the front desk, and the girl sitting there that got or is getting married or whatever, like literally doesn't even look at us. Like she was looking off to the side, and she just puts out her hand as in to like reach for the paperwork. She didn't say anything. She didn't say hi. She didn't say how can I help you. She didn't say, okay, can I see your paperwork to see what your appointment is or when it is or whatever. Nothing. She literally like ripped it out of my hand, didn't even look at me, continued with her conversation. Halfway through, she asked for my healthcare card to compare numbers, and she was like, oh, okay, so yeah, just have a seat and we'll call you up. We'll take a couple pictures and then you guys can kind of see everything. And Matt's like, take pictures? Like for what? So we like sat down, and all like right off the bat, like our mood just changed, because like it was so rude not to say anything, not to like welcome us in there. Like I don't know, they were just very, very rude in there. So we sat there, and there were a couple other people still waiting too. So 1:15 came around, and they started calling a couple other people up. And then around like 1:20, 1:25, they called a guy in that was kind of next to us. And like literally, I want to say like 10 minutes after that, he walked out with a girl who was pregnant, and they just found out that they were having a boy. And Matt and I were both kind of like starting to connect the dots, as in like, why was he not in there if they found out the gender? Why was he called in like after? And then like everything, and I don't know. So I was like, maybe it was the fact that he didn't want to know. Maybe they were setting things up and then called him in. I don't know. But then Matt was like, but they said take pictures and stuff and then I can come in. And I'm like, so everything started to like make sense, as in like Matt wasn't going to be allowed in there. So I was like, what the hell? So I started freaking out, like literally freak out. Like I know I have hormones and stuff going through me, making it worse. But to me, I'm like, I don't even want to go in there. Like, what's the point? The whole, like, he's the dad. This is our experience. I'm not going to sit there and see our baby first, or get bad news first and then have him come in late. Like, what the hell? So, I walked up, like, the girls kind of scattered everywhere. Like, some came back, started talking again about ordering stuff. Like, it's so rude to sit in a medical clinic and hear the front desk people like not answer their phones or be rude on the phone, and then as soon as they hang up be like, oh my god, like wedding this, wedding that, buy on Amazon, buy on eBay. Like we literally heard everything because they were talking that loud and laughing and whatever. To me, that was not very professional whatsoever. So anyway, they kind of scattered, and there was one girl left. So I walked up to her and I was like, I'm just confused. Like, is my husband allowed in? And she's like, well, they'll take the pictures and stuff for your doctor first and check everything first. And then for the end, he can come in. And I'm like, excuse me, is there a reason why he can't come in there? And she was like, yep. She hands me this like little pamphlet that they have already made, I guess, and it said something like mom and baby come first, like they want to make sure mom and baby are okay, and for the tech to be like focused on what they're doing and make sure they get all the pictures for the doctor, and then the husbands can come in. I'm like, what's the point? Like, you sit there already for 20 minutes to get all the pictures for your doctor. You literally already get all the good stuff, so at the end you're not gonna sit there and do it all again for him. So like, why? So like, I sat down and I gave him the pamphlet and we read it together, like the reasoning that they had on it, and I like broke down crying. I'm like, I would literally just get up and walk out right now because this is stupid. Like, I was a mess. Like, full on crying, like sobbing. I'm like, I'm scared. This is our first ultrasound. Like, if I walk in there and they tell me there's no heartbeat, there's no baby, and I'm gonna sit there and I'm already gonna be crying, and Matt has no idea what's even going on, and then he's gonna walk into like everybody knows but him. So he was getting pissed off because he's like, I'm gonna be sitting out here and I have no idea what's happening to you and the baby in there, and like, oh, it was so bad. So we were like, well, but if we walk out, obviously, like, we were looking forward to this day. I didn't sleep at all the night before. like, this is gonna be stupid if we have to reschedule and go somewhere else and like take another 2 weeks or whatever to get an appointment somewhere. So we're like, whatever, let's just get this over with. And I told him, I was like, I'm going in there and I'm gonna tell her I do not want to see anything. I do not want you to tell me anything. Turn the screen away from me because I want to experience it with my husband. Do what you gotta do, take your pictures, but I don't want to know. So that's exactly what I did. Like, I got called up and the girl was the rudest one of them all. Oh. So like, she calls me in and she tells me to like lay down and just expose my belly, I guess, because they're like, she was trying the abdominal version first. And she put some gel on me, and well, as I'm laying down, I'm like, I don't want to see anything, I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to know anything until my husband gets to come in, because it's ridiculous that I do not get to experience this at the same time as my husband. So don't tell me anything. She looks at me, she's like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm not kidding, that's the look she gave me. Sitting there and I'm like looking at the roof and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is this even? Like, I can't even enjoy this right now, because first of all, I'm nervous about if the baby implanted properly, if there's a heartbeat, all that stuff. Plus now this, like, I can't even be there and hold my husband's hand or see him, or like, whoa. So anyways, she started on my tummy, I guess, and then she was like, oh yeah, well, everything's a little bit small right now, we'll have to do like a transvaginal ultrasound, so we'll go and empty your bladder, bathrooms to the left. So I'm like, okay. So I got up, I went to the bathroom, I came back, sitting in the room literally for like 5 minutes, and she did not even come back. Like, I don't know what she did, I don't know where she went, but she disappeared. So I'm sitting there nervous as hell. And she comes back into the room, she like hands me a sheet and she's like, oh, well, just lay down, I guess, and take your pants and underwear off and stuff. And there's like a pillow to get your butt up in the air. And then you can cover yourself up. Okay, fine. So I'm laying there, and as I'm laying there, I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, I started realizing that all the girls working there had like thick sweaters on and like thick, not thick pants, but like long, like yoga pants or whatever, or nursing pants and stuff. And they have the AC like cranked, like, I'm not kidding. So I was laying on this table with literally no pants on, and the AC was like right over there blowing at me. If I get a freaking bladder infection or I get sick, I'm not surprised why, because there was cold air literally blowing up my like hoo-ha. And I was at like, that whole thing itself took about like 20 minutes. So I'm laying there 20 minutes with an AC blowing at me. Like, I was just wearing like a sweater up top, but still, it is not exactly that warm, especially if your legs are exposed. Like, no socks on, I have cold feet fast anyway. So like 10 minutes in, I literally start like shaking. Like, my legs were doing like a shake because like I was so cold. She didn't even like ask anything, or are you okay? Like, everything fine? Nothing. I think she was mad at the fact that I said don't tell me anything baby related until my husband's in there. So anyway, she's like there like shoving around, and the whole time she's looking at the screen, she's making faces. I'm not kidding, like literally, like that's the kind of faces she was making. And like it's so rude. Like, keep it to your, I obviously don't want to know, so if anything is happening right now, then don't make those faces. Like, try to keep it to yourself, you know. So to me, it obviously already seemed like she didn't know what she was doing, because she was like literally like, she would put the wand from like far left to far right so quick. And like, usually people go slow to try and find the picture, not just like whip it around in there, you know. So then she looks at me kind of, and then she looks back at the screen, and then even though I said I don't want to know anything, she goes, so are you sure you have your dates right, like with your last monthly period? And I felt like snapping at her, because I'm like, we've been waiting for this for 22 months. I'm a TTC addict. You'd think I know when my period started. Oh, so I'm like, no, I'm sure. Don't worry. I can even tell you when I most likely ovulated because of my temperature chart and all that stuff. And she goes, well, according to that, you should be like 7 weeks, 5 days, which is what I figured. And she's like, well, you're measuring it like 5 weeks and 5 days. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, I didn't want to know anything, first of all, but then she tells me something like the bad news when Matt's not there, when I said don't tell me anything. So obviously panic mode sets in, because I'm like, there's no, like, 2 weeks behind. Like, that is insane. Like under 6 weeks. Like, I figured usually, like, people say within like a week-ish around there, it could be like behind or whatever, and it'd be like it's fine. So I figured like around like 6 weeks, 5 days, something like that, like a little bit behind, I guess. But for it to be like 2 weeks behind was just insane. So obviously, like, I was trying to hold tears back and stuff because I'm like something bad is gonna come out of this. So then she's like looking around and like making faces at the screen again. Then she's like, I'm just gonna leave like the wand inside of you for a second. I'm gonna get a different tech, and runs out. Leaves the door open too. So then like I'm laying there for like 2 minutes with this thing inside of me and the machine like buzzing off next to me. And then she comes back in with another one, like, who doesn't even say hi or introduce themselves, just like, oh, okay. So, like, they're both standing in front of the screen, and I guess she was asking her for a second opinion or something about something. So, I'm sitting there, and she's looking at, like, talking with her, and she just says, like, yeah, so obviously there's this, there's the yolk sac and stuff. So, but now over here, there's a corpse. That's all I hear. Corpse. In my first ultrasound ever, I hear the word corpse when she just told me everything's measuring already 2 weeks behind. And then the other one's like, well, this, that, blah, blah, blah. They started kind of whispering and stuff, and then she walks out and she just continues. I'm like, excuse me? You stand, like I said, I don't want to know anything, and then you say corpse, but don't say anything else. Do I really have to sit here and ask what you meant? So she was like, oh, no, it's all, like, it's all fine or whatever. I just figured, I thought there was a twin that died off. So I'm like, okay, so was there 2 babies, or is there 2 babies, or what's going on? No, just 1 baby. That's all she says. Like, no, sorry, like, I did it wrong or whatever. Like, I figured out, like, something wrong, or I made a mistake. Like, it's fine. Just 1 baby. That was something else. It's all good. Nothing. Just no, 1 baby. That's it. So then she's like looking around and stuff, and that was it. And then she was like, oh, so I'll get your husband now. What's his name? I was like, Matthew. She's like, okay. So she goes out and she gets him, and the room was so small, like Matt literally had to stand on like my foot end, which like he was like, like if I'm laying in the bed like this, the machine was right here and she was standing here, and the screen was tilted like this. I don't know if you can see this, like this. So Matt had to stand like way far away at the foot end, but she was standing there, so like her head was in the way for him to even see anything. So like he literally had to like stand there like this to try and see anything. So he walks in and she was like, yeah, so she turned the screen so that I could finally see something too, and she's like, yeah, so here's like a uterus and stuff, and he has like the fluid and stuff, and then she's like, and here's the baby. And we were like, okay. And she was like, yeah, so like she tried to move it around a little bit, and then both Matt and I kind of, because I told him, like, there's 2 things that I want to know: that it implanted properly, and then I see or hear a heartbeat. So that's kind of what he was focused on too, because he knows that I know what to look for. So we saw the baby, which was fine, and then we started seeing a flickering. So we did see the heartbeat. And I asked her if she could have, like, if she measured what it was at, and she said, well, because it is so tiny and measuring so far behind, it was really hard to get a good measuring, but it was like around 110 beats per minute. And then I asked her if she could measure again so we could see it, because like literally she was like, yeah, that's baby, okay, we're done. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just laid here, like that's exactly what I meant. I laid here for like 20 minutes while you got all the good angles and like moved around. And now that he's here and I'm actually looking too, it's like, yeah, here's baby, bye. You know, like, why? So then I asked her if she could measure it, and she measured it again. She was like, oh, well, I kind of got him stretched out a little bit more, so now you're 6 weeks in 1 day. I'm like, So really, that whole 20 minutes, you just kept it at the 5 weeks, 5 days that you told me. And now all of a sudden, just because I asked to have it measured again, I'm further along. Like, shouldn't you be sitting there and trying to stretch it out as much as you can to get an accurate reading and not just one measurement done? You know what I mean? Like, if I wouldn't have asked, everybody would have figured I'm like 5 weeks and 5 days, which is ridiculous because technically way back then, no heartbeat should be even going. Oh God. So, then we asked if we could have a picture, and she was like, well, I guess I can print you one off, but it'll just be this like tiny one. And we're like, fine, I just want something. So we did see a heartbeat, and I asked her if we'd be able to hear it. And she was like, well, first of all, it's way too early. And second of all, we don't have the proper machinery to do it. Like, we don't do heartbeats. We just look at them, we don't see them. Like, what? Like, this is insane. Like, the whole reason we waited this long to even see the baby was so that we could hear it and not freak out about only seeing it flickering. And now, I get that the baby's measuring behind, but to hear that they couldn't have even let us hear it is just beyond me. Like, oh, it is just mind-blowing is all I can say. So I got dressed and stuff, and it was really hard. Like, obviously we were happy, we were excited, we saw our baby, we saw a heartbeat, but the whole around everything, the rudeness, since we walked in that like clinic, I don't know, everything just went to crap. Like, our mood just went like down the drain, and it was more anxiousness and like nervousness about me having to go in alone and all that stuff. I don't know. It's just not a nice experience to look back to. Like, obviously we didn't get to film because they were so rude, and like the 2 minutes that Matt could have filmed, like, there was no point. I don't know. It is very hard to look back to and be excited about it, because there's just so many bad things that pop into your head about what happened. Yes, I'm happy I saw my baby. Yes, I'm happy I saw a heartbeat. But everything around it just made it so much worse. And the way that they acted, mentioning like corpse, and like that stuff burns into your freaking brain, especially if you're pregnant and freaking out as it is. So it is really hard to sit here and be completely happy and excited when you don't even know if she knew what she was doing. Like, do I have a second baby in there that died? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there is just so many unanswered questions, really, that she threw in there and didn't explain or didn't know what she was doing, I guess. That's how I feel. So, obviously not happy. I called my nurse this morning, and I left her 2 long messages. The answering machine cut me off at one point. I was just explaining to her that we had a horrible experience, and it was just very rude, and like everything that happened, and that we're hoping that the doctor can give us another sheet so that we can go somewhere else, like the place that I went to last year. Because I already called them, and they said, oh my gosh, no, like, your husband's allowed in. They might want to set up just with you, just to get everything ready and then bring him in, but most of them let them in right away. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so I took a shower, and she called me back while I was in the shower, and she was like, oh, like, I'm so sorry that you had such a horrible experience, and that is really awful and stuff. And then I mentioned to her the whole corpse thing, and she was just speechless. She was like, I don't even know how people say that to other people. Like, if you're concerned, keep it to yourself until you know for sure what's going on. Don't just throw a word out there if you don't even know what's going on. And that's how I felt, right? I'm like, you should make sure that what you're saying, especially if it's bad news, is true before you, like, tell that to somebody. But she said the thing is, like, with healthcare and stuff, they don't always allow second ultrasounds that quickly. She did send off a message to the doctor to, like, look at the ultrasound and stuff, and if she has, like, any reason for concern, or she can try and trick healthcare that we do get another one. But chances are pretty slim that we're gonna get another one unless we go somewhere and pay for it. So fingers crossed that we do get it anyway. I guess it's a good thing if she says we don't need it, because that means that she's happy with how things look. My nurse said that she looked at them too, and she thinks everything looks great too, which calms me down a little bit. But I would still like to have like one in a week or so, just to see if baby grew in that week, like it was supposed to, or if it's just really far behind or not growing at all, or what's going on. Yeah, just lots that went on yesterday, and definitely not all good, no. So just waiting for her to call us back. I guess that was like the main thing. I'm hoping that we do get to go for another one just to kind of ease my mind as to the baby's growing. It's just behind a little bit, or that the dumb tech just didn't know how to measure properly and it's actually closer to 7 weeks. I don't know. But I'm hoping that we get to go in. She also said that if next week our doctor has a cancellation like last minute, then she'll give us a call so that we can come in sooner than the 14th. Just to talk about everything, because obviously we haven't seen her since we found out we're pregnant. Yeah, so I'll see you guys, not sure. I guess I'll update you guys if she calls back and says we do or we don't get an ultrasound, so maybe there'll be a quick in-between video this week. And other than that, I'll see you next week. And as you can tell by the title right now, I just put week question mark bump date, because I don't know what week I am right now. Am I just 6 weeks now, or did my due date change, or am I still considered almost 8 weeks? Like, I don't know what's going on right now. If they change my due date, that means I have to wait another 6 weeks for my 12-week ultrasound. And 6 weeks of not knowing what even happened since that last ultrasound, I don't think I could do. So, I don't know. If they tell me that I can't go for another ultrasound, I might, like, I don't know, sell some stuff or something to go to UC Baby to see if they can get us in just for a regular ultrasound or something like that. Yeah, anyway, this video is long enough. Just lots going on and lots on my mind right now, and I just need to let it all out. So I'm hoping you guys pray for us that our baby's fine and that it'll keep growing and everything is good to go and the tech was just stupid. Also, please pray that we do get another ultrasound. It would obviously be a lot nicer to not have to pay for one and to not have to wait 6 weeks to see anything. But anyway, I'll finish off with the picture and I'll see you guys hopefully really soon, but at the latest next week, Wednesday, for another week, whatever, bump date. Alright, bye guys!